In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace the driver's side front strut located in the driver's side front fender well. Remove the hubcap. You can use a pry bar or a screwdriver. That gives you better access to the lug nuts. 21mm socket, and we are going to remove the tire. Now we can pull the tire off. So before I start taking the strut out, I am going to spray down like the sway bar link and the bolts for the strut. We also have the ABS sensor, little bolt. We want to spray that down. Let that soak a little bit, and then we'll take it out. So we're going to take the upper link out of the strut, and in order to do that, this particular link doesn't have like a hex in the back to grab it. So I'm going to use a pair of walking pliers, and I'll find the metal part and I'll crimp it down. And because I have the type that has a little Allen head, maybe you don't know this, but if you have that, you put in the size of the Allen head and you can tighten up on it without squeezing that and hurting your hand. So you just go like this, get as tight as you can. Now you're good to go. This is a 17mm socket. Just like that. To take it out, I'm just going to reverse my Allen head, loosen up on that. Take those out. Now we can set it aside. So now I'm going to move over to the back side here of the strut, and there's a bracket that holds the ABS sensor and the flex hose. And that bolt right there is a 14mm socket. I'm going to put that on, take that off. And then you can just wiggle that bracket and it will come right out of the way. Same with the flex hose, get that right out of the way. Now we're going to move on to the two main bolts and this little clip right here. So I'm going to take a body tool clip and I'm going to just undo that, pop it out. Now with everything away and undone from that strut, we're going to undo those two main bolts. 22mm socket and wrench. I'm going to do the lower one first. If you run into that, let's reverse it, see if we can get the nut off. So I like to take the wrench and I'll just go like this and give it a little guide. Now we're ready to go ahead and pop that knuckle out just a little bit. And we want to stop it from falling out. So I'm going to leave it in just like that, but now I'm going to lower the vehicle so I can get to the top of the strut. So now we've lowered the car, raised the hood, and we have the top of the strut. This is the strut mount and the 3 bolts. Actually, there's nuts attached to the studs that come on the strut cap, and this particular car is 14mm socket or wrench. Loosen this completely out, get it out of there. There we go. There we go. Break this one free. Get a ratchet. Get that one completely out of the way. Now the last one, I'm going to back off as much as I can, and then I'm going to go down below. You have to hold the actual strut. Now I'm going to grab this strut, hold it, and I'm going to release that bolt nut on the top, shall I say, completely out of the way. And then I'm just going to wiggle it out of the knuckle. There we go. And then pull it out. So before installing the new strut, I'm going to make sure I take off the new nuts on the cap. There's 3 of them for the 3 studs on the cap. And I'm going to put them up here so I can use them. And now I'm going to guide the new strut in. With one hand down here and one on the top, I'm going to lift it up, try to put those 3 studs in place. Grab a nut, start it by hand. I'm just going to grab the strut and pick it up just a hair and really snug these down. So now we've raised it up and I'm ready to put the knuckle back into the strut base. So I'm going to move the strut, kind of like line it up with the knuckle and then push in on the knuckle. So we get the 1 bolt in. Now I can straighten it out a little bit and push that top one in. Okay, so now I am leaning in and I'm going to put that top bolt on. So now the top bolt's in. I'm going to tap that bottom one in. Get the 2 mounting nuts, put them on. .22mm socket and 22mm wrench. We're going to snug these up and then we'll torque them to factory spec. I'm going to get my torque wrench. I'm going to set the torque wrench to 156 foot-pounds and we're going to torque these. So now we're going to put the brake hose on and the ABS bracket. Brake hose goes on first and it's going to go into this notch and this little hook right here is going to go up there. So bring it around and up. Then your ABS sensor, you're going to hook that in from the top and the side. Then take your bolt and start it by hand. While we're here, we're going to take our little clip and clip it in. That's a 14mm socket. Let's snug it up. There is no torque on this, it's just a bracket. So just make sure it's bottomed out and tight. All right, so now we're going to put the link in. Take that nut back off. Guide it in. Push it all the way through. I'm going to put the nut on by hand. And that is a 15mm socket, but we're going to get the locking pliers and I'm going to lock them in the back. The torque is 14 foot-pounds. Take the locking pliers off. And now we can put the tire on. We'll lower it. With the weight of the vehicle on it is how we're going to torque the top. So let's get the wheel. Go ahead and reinstall the wheel. Put the lug nuts on by hand. Start them. We're just going to snug them up, crisscross. Now we can lower it and torque it to factory specs. 21mm socket, and we're going to torque the wheels to 76 foot-pounds in a cross pattern, crisscross. And double check. Now to reinstall the hubcap, you line up the valve stem. And then there it is. The new nuts are a 15mm socket, so the torque spec is 59 foot-pounds, so we're going to snug them up. I don't know if we'll get to that back one, so we'll have to do that one by hand. And I know I won't get back there, so I'm going to have to do that by hand. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.